Hello dear viewers, welcome back to our channel MIT Scare, where we dive deep into the hearts of poems and the minds of poets. Today we explore one of the most iconic and deceptively simple poems in American literature, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Now I'll tell about the poet Robert Frost. Robert Frost was one of America's most celebrated poets born in San Francisco. He later moved to New England, a region that deeply influenced his poetry. Frost's works often depict real life, nature, and philosophical reflections cloaked in simple language. He won the Pulitzer Prize 4 times, a rare honor, and was regarded as a voice of clarity during turbulent times. He once said, "A poem begins in delight and ends in wisdom." And today's poem is a shining example of that. Now I'll tell about the theme of this poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. This poem subtly explores the tension between the allure of nature and the responsibilities of life. It reflects on temptation, duty, solitude, and even the inevitability of death. The woods represent peace, escape, and perhaps even the afterlife, while the promises symbolize the duties we carry in our earthly existence. Now I'll explain this poem, Stops by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost, stanza by stanza. The first stanza. Whose woods these are I think I know, his house is in the village though, you will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. In this stanza, the speaker begins by identifying the setting. He is aware of the owner of the woods but notes that he lives in the village and won't notice him stopping. There's a sense of quiet rebellion here, an escape from societal norms to embrace a moment of solitude and beauty. Stanza 2. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and a frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. Here, the horse represents rationality or societal expectations. It's unusual to stop in such an isolated place. The mention of the darkest evening may imply a metaphorical darkness, perhaps depression, exhaustion, or existential thought. Stanza 3. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and a downy flake. Here the silence is broken only by the sound of the bells and the gentle snow. It enhances the tranquil atmosphere. The speaker is deep in thought, perhaps mesmerized, perhaps tempted by the peace and stillness the woods offer. Stanza 4. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. This final stanza is the most profound. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, seductive and calming. But the speaker pulls himself away, reminding himself of the promises he must fulfill before he can rest. The repeated line, and miles to go before I sleep, is symbolic. Sleep may signify literal rest or death. The poet suggests life is a journey filled with duties, and one must continue onward despite the desire to stop and rest. Now I will explain the summary of this poem. On a snowy evening, the speaker stops by a quiet forest to admire its beauty. He is captivated by the stillness and serenity of the woods. His horse, puzzled by the unscheduled stop in such a remote place, shakes his harness bells as if questioning the pause. Despite the temptation to stay, the speaker reminds himself of his responsibilities and moves on. And now I'll tell some closing thoughts about this poem. This poem, though seemingly simple in language, is rich with layered meanings. First, beautifully captures the essence of human struggle, the pull between desire and duty, rest and responsibility, escape and endurance. Whether we read it as a moment of peaceful observation or a deeper metaphor for life's journey toward its inevitable end, stopping by woods on a snowy evening leaves an indelible mark on the soul. Thank you for joining me on this poetic journey. If you loved this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more literary insights. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring the beauty of poetry. Until next time, goodbye.